For episode 6 of season 4, we will be featuring the stories from the pages of the Nichi Bei news. Tonight, we highlight people and places as part of our Soy and Tofu Festival preview, coming to St. Mary's Event Center on June 14th, 2025.
For our pastry selection, we interview a bisexual Japanese national who just had a show in San Francisco as part of the San Francisco International Arts Festival.
For our salad selection, we highlight the food vendors and offerings at this year's Soy and Tofu Festival.
For our chef special, we get a preview of the 13th Soy and Tofu Festival.
And for our dessert offering, we bring our local SF Japantown origami expert to show you how to make a Soy and Tofu Festival inspired origami model.
And stick around to be treated to some news bites of happenings in our Japanese and Japanese American community.
Finally, we end the program tonight with tips of events that are coming up in the next month and beyond.
So without further delay, let's start the cafe.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to episode 6 of season 4 of the Nichi Bei Cafe. We want to thank all of you for tuning in and supporting us on this journey of documenting Japanese and Japanese American lifestyle. I'm joined by my friend and former Nichi Bei intern Julian Avanilia today to help serve up some nice segments. So let's get to it.
Starting off with our pastry selection tonight, Tomohiro and producer Greg Valoria catch up with a bisexual Japanese national, Ayane Nakagawa, on her SF premiere production of My Choice, My Body, a modern dance production expressing the feelings of an LGBTQ person in Japan. Please enjoy.
Ayane Nakagawa has always been in the minority of sorts when it came to the Japanese cultural arts. She was banned from watching TV at home while her family ate and couldn't play video games or read manga, somewhat isolating her from kids her own age. Ayane, the leader of the troupe Sweet Chu Magane, performed a US premiere of My Choice, My Body as part of the Greater San Francisco International Arts Festival. Her perspective connects with the theme of minorities finding a way to coexist in society.
バランスだと思っていて、人間にとって一番重要っていうことではないかもしれないんですけど、私の作品の中ではそのバランスがすごい大事だと思ってるんですよね。なんか他人とのバランスがすごく重要で、自分のポジションって自分だけではわからないので、この社会の中で自分がどういうポジションなのかで。
Ayane's fellow dancers in her troupe, Shinpei Nimoto and Eiju Kim, are minorities in their own right. Shinpei, a gay Japanese person, and Eiju, a Zainichi Korean. Ayane gave her perspective on being a minority in a homogeneous society like Japan's.
それはマイノリティでもマジョリティでも近くにいる人たちとどうバランスをとって生きていくかっていうところがすごく重要だと思っているんですよね。というのは自分の欲求だけを伝えていてもそれは誰かの欲求だったりとか思いをなんかこう、そこがぶつかっちゃう可能性もあるので。なんかどうやってこう共存していくかみたいなところを割とテーマになっている、大事にしていることかなと思いますね。
Well, this is the first time Suichu Magane, which translates literally to underwater goggles, performed in the US. They have performed abroad in the past in Hong Kong, France, and Korea. Ayane discussed one aspect that non-Japanese audiences have compared to domestic Japanese audiences as their preconceived notions with cultural symbols such as no masks.
能面マスクの捉え方が違うなと思っていて、多分海外の人の方がよりその怪しさ、怖さだったりとか美しさを結構素直に捉えるなと思っていて、やっぱり日本だとそういうカルチャー、あれって伝統芸能なので知ってはないんですよね、細かいことをだから知ってはないけどなんとなく感覚で分かる部分があるので、いろんなこうどういう意味なんだろうってこう考えるの複雑になることがあって、それもまた良いところではあるんですけど、海外だとそれがこう素直にもうビジュアルのまま捉えてくれるので、結構そのコンセプトの部分がクリアにたどり着けることが多いなと思って、そこはすごく海外のお客さんとの関係でいいなと思ってます。
According to Ayane, the piece named after the phrase "my body, my choice" stresses the choices people can make to become their true self, despite choices they could not make for themselves.
私そのダンスをはじめとするアートはそのパフォーマンスを通してその人の人生をこう振り返ったりとか逆に思考を進ませたりする効果というかと思うんですけど、今回の作品においては自分が今までしてきた選択を、どんな選択であれポジティブに捉えてほしいなっていう思いがあります。で、自分がこう進んで選択してないこともあると思うんですけど、例えば生まれた国だったりとか、親もそうですし、自分がこう選んだぞっていう感覚のないものも与えられたものだけれども、生き方によっていろんなことをこうプラスに変えていけると私は信じているんですよ。それによって自分に降りかかった困難も含め自分の人生だなってポジティブに捉えてもらえるといいなと思って、そういう自分の選択についてをこう考えられる機会にできたらいいなって思ってます。
Ayane hopes to take her experience in America to share with others back home in Japan.
サンフランシスコで上演できることで、多分オーディエンスの反応だったりとか受け取り方って多分すごく違うと思っていて、私一人では多分できないことも多いと思うんですけど、なんかその受け取ったものをしっかり日本に持って帰っていろんな人に伝えられるようにしたいなと思うので、ぜひお客さんとの会話ができたらなって、反応をぜひ聞いてみたいですね。
Whether in the United States or Japan, we hope that you can see one of her productions. This is Greg Valoria for Tomo Hirai for the Nichi Bei Cafe.
Thank you to Tomo and Greg for that interview. For our salad selection, we want to highlight the food offerings at the 13th Northern California Soy and Tofu Festival. We do have some new choices to spice up things this year. Please enjoy.
Hi, my name is Henry Su, and I'm a self-taught chef and known to be a kind of a dumpling maker and teacher. I also do pop-ups here in the Bay Area. My focus is on Taiwanese food. And when I say I'm a self-taught chef, I transitioned into the food world kind of late in my 40s. And I got my start at Hodo Foods, which is a local tofu company here in Oakland, California. And I worked there for 11 years. And that's where I kind of learned all about tofu making. But my other passions, as I mentioned, are dumpling making and Taiwanese food in general and education. I also do pop-ups here in the Bay Area. And I teach and I do that sort of stuff. So Last year at the Soy and Tofu Festival, I did a couple workshops for tofu making, which I do regularly teach in general. And it's just a fun process in any kind of cooking classes to demystify the process of how a very common item in someone's kitchen or on someone's plate is made. So a lot of people know what tofu is. They like tofu or they don't like tofu. But point being, with a class or kind of a workshop or anything related to kind of the educational aspect to tofu, it sort of demystifies the process. And it's always fun to see how folks are surprised how it's made, how easy it can be. And so that's kind of the fun part of workshops like this. For a lot of people who want to learn how to make tofu, it's kind of, at least in my experience, it's a mixed bag here. A lot of Asians or Asian Americans who were raised with tofu in their daily lives, often those people who want to learn about making tofu have just never thought about it. And then when they do think about how they like to cook and they like to learn how to cook, tofu is kind of an aside. So, and then for a lot of my non-Asian students who like to learn about tofu making, there is kind of a big push for a lot of DIYers, people who want to be in full control of how their food is made, where it's sourced, control of ingredients, and feeling good about understanding how those components are put together. A lot of people will cook with tofu, but rarely will people know how to make the actual tofu. So it's just, I think, for folks that like to cook or kind of DIY people, it's a fun process because it may have crossed your mind, but most likely it hasn't crossed your mind to make it. So, so I think very curious people are interested in learning how to make tofu. So there are many ways of making tofu, and the main part is that it's about the coagulant. So depending on the country of origin, whether it's China or Japan or Korea, countries that have traditionally had tofu, there's different ways of making it. And so, so for folks that are doing different types of processes, they may have different challenges. The most traditional or one of the oldest ways of making tofu is doing it with gypsum or calcium sulfate. And this particular method of making tofu, what may trip people up is that it's a very short process to make the tofu, but it takes a little bit of a finesse and a little bit of information about how to put it together. And it's a little tricky. And it's hard to explain in words. And it's easier to do in a demo format. So it's nice to work with someone and kind of go through the process, because then it's more easily demystified. So if you're curious and love tofu, which hopefully you are if you're at the Soy and Tofu Festival this year, we'll be doing a couple workshops and tasting and talking tofu and talking about the history and making it in person. So hopefully you can come. We're going to be doing 2 workshops, and they should be tasty and entertaining and educational. So hope to see you there.
Thanks to our food team for getting some great selections. For our chef special tonight, we preview the 13th Northern California Soy and Tofu Festival, both new vendors and performers at this year's festival. Please enjoy, and we hope you're able to stop by our 13th Soy and Tofu Festival.
Join our 13th Northern California Soy and Tofu Festival, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, June 14th at the Event Center at St. Mary's Cathedral, 1111 Gulf Street near San Francisco's Japantown. Featuring Soy and Tofu vendors, audience participation games, and lots of soy and tofu samples. Introducing a new youth art contest. Artisan vendors, cooking demonstrations and cooking workshops, live performances, raffle with a trip to Japan, popular mascot Cutie Tofuti. For more information, go to www.soyandtofufest.org. Admission is free. Proceeds to benefit the Nichi Bei Foundation, publishers of the nonprofit Japanese American community newspaper, the Nichi Bei News. Partial proceeds benefit the Nikkei Community Internship and Japantown Youth Leaders programs.
Thanks to our team for putting on yet another Soy and Tofu Festival this year. And just a reminder, you can read in-depth articles about these Nichi Bei Cafe segments in our community news publication, the Nichi Bei News. So to do so, please be sure to become a member of the Nichi Bei Foundation, where you will receive your bi-monthly complimentary copy of the Nichi Bei News at www.nichibei.org/subscribe. Next up, for our dessert segment, we catch up with our Origami Now columnist, Linda Mihara, as she teaches us to make a Soy and Tofu Festival-inspired origami.
Hi, I'm Linda Mihara, and I do a column for the Nichi Bei News called Origami Now. Today, in celebration for the Soy and Tofu Festival coming up, I'm going to show you how to make your own Cutie Tofuti, who is the mascot for the festival, and we're going to do it out of origami. So go ahead and grab a sheet of origami paper, and let's get started. So I've got a sheet of paper that actually has Cutie Tofuti and Friends pre-printed on this. You could find this if you scan the QR code at the end of this episode and to download your own template that has this. So once you have this, we're going to turn the model over and fold a triangle. So when you fold your first fold is always the hardest. So to do a triangular fold, line up your points, hold it in place, pull straight down the middle with your other hand, and then go from the middle on out. That prevents any shifting from happening when you're doing this. And then go ahead and fold the other half. So now you have a nice straight triangle. Unfold this, rotate it, and fold the other triangle. Again, holding your points in place there and pulling straight down the middle and going from the middle on out. It's very satisfying when you have a nice, correct triangle. Now we're going to unfold this and turn it over. So now you're looking at Tofuti and Friends like this. Let's take the model and fold it into a rectangle. So you're going to line up this corner, and then you're pretty straight. And again, start your fold from the middle and work your way out like that. We're going to unfold, rotate, and fold the other rectangle like this. And again, I'm being mindful of lining up my corners, as you see there. And again, I'm starting my fold from the middle and working my way out like this. So once you have that, you're going to unfold, and you're going to lift the paper off the table and push right through the middle from underneath, and it pops up like this. That's what you want. What you want to do is gather the paper together like this. And what you want is Cutie Tofuti and Friends to be hidden in your layers. And then you end up with your model that looks like this. It looks kind of like a stacked triangles. There are some guidelines on here if you do download the template. And the next step is to take the top flap and bring this corner up to the top of the triangle. And that's what the guideline shows, is making your fold like that. And doing the same for the opposite point, bringing that up to the top of the triangle and making your crease. Let's turn it over and repeat that. Again, you have your guidelines here. So you're going to take this point, bring it to the top of the triangle, make your fold, and the same for the final flap there. So your model will look like this. You have some additional guidelines here. If you have a regular origami paper and you don't have the guidelines, what you want to do is, you see these loose points are facing away from you. You're going to take the top layer here and bring this corner to the center. You don't have to be exact, you just eyeball it. Just bring it to the center. So it looks like this. The same for the opposite point, bring that into the center and fold. So it looks like this. Let's turn it over and repeat that. Again, your loose flaps are pointing away from you. You're going to take this point and bring it to the center, like this. And finally, the last remaining one, and bringing that. So now your model, you have a lot of layers, so you want to give it a good crease there. But now we're going to work with these loose flaps that are here on top. You should have 2 of them. Let's take one of the flaps, and what we want to do is fold this. It makes a triangle. This flap makes a triangle. Let's take the top here and bring it to this point here, which is basically folding this triangle in half. So it looks like that. Now you're going to take the triangle and fold it down, and it will actually hug the edge of this triangle underneath. So we're just taking that and making a crease here. So it should look like this. Now let's unfold that last step, and if you look at the top here on this flap, there is a pocket. You can slide your finger inside and there's a pocket that you see here. You're going to take this triangle and tuck it inside the pocket. So let's go ahead and do that. Like this, and just tuck it into the pocket. So now it's snugly inside that pocket, like that. We want to repeat that on this other side. So the first step was to take the point and bring it down to the center like this, folding that triangle in half. Then we're taking that triangle and folding this down against the bigger triangle. We unfold that flap, find the pocket that's on top here, pop it open, and tuck the triangle inside that pocket. Like that. That kind of locks it in place. Now let's turn it over and repeat that last series of steps with these 2 flaps. We're going to take the top flap and fold it down, folding that triangle in half, then taking the triangle and folding that down. You unfold that, let's find the pocket, which is right here, tuck that triangle inside, and flatten it out. And then we have one more to go. So take that triangle, fold this down, then take the triangle and fold this down this way. Unfold that, find the pocket, pop it open, and let's tuck that final triangle inside, like that. Now you're done with the folding, which is pretty cool. Lift it off the table, and you want to separate out your layers and kind of center it so that it makes like an X, like this. You see Cutie, Tofuti, and friends facing here. At the top, there's a tiny hole. So what you want to do is very gently hold the 4 flaps like this, give it a little puff like this, and you have your, let's pop it open a little bit more. You can probably blow a little bit more air. And you have your Cutie, Tofuti, Tofu Cube. And now you have your own Cutie, Tofuti, Tofu Cube. For more great videos, check out on all of our socials, Papertree SF. And for great origami supplies, check out our website, paper-tree.com. See you at the Soy and Tofu Festival. Thank you.
A huge thank you to Linda for that origami model. We hope you mark your calendar for the Northern California Soy and Tofu Festival on June 14th. Now, it's time for some News Bites, our segment where we present quick takes on some articles from the pages of the Nichi Bei News.
Next is our News Bites, highlighting events over the past month or so, including stories from the pages of the Nichi Bei News. Let's roll the News Bites, please.
So let's roll the news bites. The news bites rolling. Japan Video and Media closed on May 29th after more than 40 years of business in San Francisco's Japantown. Takeshi Onishi, an early promoter of anime and manga in the community, and an original member of the Japantown Merchants Association, helped organize the Aki Matsuri, an annual Bon Odori, in the 1980s. Onishi, 78, plans to spend time with his family in Japan as well as America.
The Japanese Overseas Migration Museum, which opened in Yokohama, Japan in 2002, aims to spread knowledge about Japanese overseas migration history, Shigeru Kojima, one of its founding members, said. It has a temporary exhibit in San Jose's Japantown, highlighting community groups that have shaped it, referencing historical archives, photos, and interviews with community members. The exhibit runs through June 29th. For more information, visit www.jica.go.jp.
The Japantown Rainbow Coalition held its annual flag raising ceremony on Osaka Way in San Francisco's Japantown in honor of Queer and Transgender Asian Pacific Islander Week and Pride Month, before a procession to raise the Pride Progress flag at the Konko Church of San Francisco on May 31st.
Dozens paid tribute to the late journalist K.W. Lee on April 26 at San Francisco State University's Towers Conference Center. Lee passed away March 8 at the age of 96. The Pulitzer-nominated investigative reporter and editor was the first Korean immigrant to work in a mainstream American newspaper, and a stalwart civil rights advocate known as the godfather of Asian American journalism. Lee is perhaps best known for his reporting on the 1973 murder of Yip Yi-tak and wrongful conviction of Chol Soo-lee. Lee wrote 120 articles on the Chol Soo-lee case, galvanizing a coalition to free the wrongfully convicted Korean immigrant from prison in 1983. Fellow journalists and activists alike praised Lee for his relentlessness and his legacy.
The San Francisco Giants hosted their annual Japanese Heritage Night on May 16th at Oracle Park as they took on the Athletics. Since 2012, the Giants have celebrated this event to bring community members together and highlight Japanese culture with special festivities and a menu featuring Japanese dishes. Pre-game celebrations kicked off with an interview with UIKAI Japanese American Community Senior Service Center's Executive Director Jennifer Masuda. San Jose Taiko then took the field, filling the stadium with powerful drum beats as fans settled into their seats. Kimberly Vernon, a Yonsei and the reigning Miss California 2024, threw out the ceremonial first pitch. Members Even After Nice, or MEAN, an alumni group of UC Berkeley's Nikkei Chorale Ensemble, sang the national anthem. A portion of the proceeds from special event ticket sales benefited the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern California. Event sponsor Kikkoman presented guests with Giants memorabilia. Japanese Heritage Night ended with a 9-1 Giants win over their longtime Cross Bay rivals, and fireworks lighting up the sky over Oracle Park.
On Memorial Day, representatives of more than 24 Japanese American community organizations gathered at the Japanese Cemetery in Colma, California, for the annual Community Memorial Day ceremony. Organized by the Japanese Benevolent Society of California, the event included an interfaith ceremony by representatives of the Japanese American Religious Federation of San Francisco. Consul General of Japan in San Francisco, Yo Osumi, spoke at the event, which honors community pioneers and all who have passed on. The event was preceded by an annual cemetery cleanup led by the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern California.
The Japanese American National Museum is partnering with the Irei Project and USC's Duncan Ryuken Williams to travel the Ireicho Book of Names in conjunction with pilgrimages to all 10 former War Relocation Authority, or WRA, concentration camps, to other Department of Justice, or DOJ, and Wartime Civil Control Administration, or WCCA, incarceration sites, and selected cities across the US. The national tour launched in Washington, D.C. in February at Day of Remembrance events at the U.S. Navy Memorial and the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. The Ireicho is the first comprehensive listing of persons of Japanese ancestry who were incarcerated in U.S. Army, DOJ, WCCA, and WRA camps. The Ireicho made its way to the Bay Area June 2nd to 7th in conjunction with the Berkeley Historical Society Museum and Palo Alto Buddhist Temple. On June 3rd, Berkeley Mayor Adina Ishii signed the book in remembrance of 6 ancestors. For more up-to-date news like this, please be sure to subscribe to the Nichi Bei News, carrying on a legacy of 125 years of community leadership through media at www.nichibei.org/subscribe. Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us for our 6th episode of Season 4. We hope that you enjoyed what we, and of course all of our featured chefs, cooked up for the cafe menu today.
At this point, we want to give a big thanks to the Henry and Tomoye Takahashi Charitable Foundation for their continued support of the cafe. We're always appreciative of our collaboration with you in finding new ways to engage our Nikkei community. We would like to thank everyone for continuing to support our YouTube channel and hope you enjoy our future content featuring our Japanese and Japanese American community.
So please continue to support us by telling your friends, family, and loved ones to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this episode, and comment down below. To stay in the know of more happenings in the Japanese American community, please consider becoming a member of our Nichi Bei community to help support what we do here at www.nichibei.org/subscribe.
A lot of things are happening in the community. Next up, we will present a calendar of upcoming events.
Join your friends in the Japanese and Japanese American community for the first ever Nichi Bei Day with the Giants on Sunday, July 13th, 2025 at 1:05 p.m. at Oracle Park. Come cheer on the San Francisco Giants as they take on Japanese superstars Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, as well as rookie sensation Roki Sasaki and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Join hundreds in the community cheering on the home team and reigning National League MVP Ohtani. Discounted tickets are as follows. Tickets in section 307 with views of the bay are available for $77. Left field bleacher seats in sections 136, 137, and 138 are on sale for $89. The first 15,000 fans in the stadium will receive a complimentary City Connect Spirit jersey presented by Coca-Cola. A portion of the ticket proceeds will benefit the Nichi Bei Foundation, publishers of the Nichi Bei News Japanese American community newspaper and presenter of various educational programs and events. For more information and tickets, please visit www.nichibei.org/giants. We hope to see you at the ballpark. Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining us for our 5th episode of season 4. We hope that you... What?
6
Oh,
episodes,
shit.
right?
Okay. Oh, shit. The brightness for some reason just... On this journey of documenting Japanesing... Nope, Japanesing.
For more information, visit www.jica.go.jp.
Why is there...
No, just do the jica.go.jp.
Okay.
Oh, I
Don't
see.
do the whole URL.
Yeah.
That's
That's a lot, yeah.
An interview with UIKAI Japanese American Community... It's the one. It's the one. See?
Yep.
Some special event. Ticket sales benefited the Japanese Cultural and Community Center of Northern America.
California.
Sorry.
You're good.
Northern America.
I do be liking Northern America.
I'll just take it from a portion.